Dawn and Dusk, referred to as Grotesques, Guardians, or GGs usually, are easily the hardest main Slayer boss in the game, requiring a Gargoyle task to fight. These are fought on the roof of the Slayer Tower and require both ranged and melee to kill. The loot at Grotesques is not exceptional, to say the least, due to their main rewards being tank gear, which is typically not that useful, like the Granite ring, gloves, and Guardian boots. In max efficiency gear, you're actually going to lose a little bit of money at Grotesques. Most people kill Guardians for their pet drop, a massive glowing orange or flying purple gargoyle, which is easily one of the best pets in the game. Although the Granite Dust, which increases the max of your cannonballs, is also helpful for both Slayer and a handful of bosses. This is going to be a guide focused on max efficiency, as Guardians are not remotely worth doing for loot and are only killed for that pet, and passive Granite Dust while getting that pet. For the requirements, obviously you need 75 Slayer and a Gargoyle Slayer task. I would recommend only fighting these at max melee and range levels, especially ranged. Like I said earlier, you don't kill these for anything but pet. You might as well wait until you can do it effectively. To access these, you're going to need to get a brittle key drop from Gargoyles first, which is 1 out of 150. After you've received the key and unlocked the roof, you can permanently access the boss. Having a Crystal Halberd is also going to help tremendously here, although there are other decent options. I also highly recommend having Gargoyle Auto Smasher unlocked from a Slayer Master. You're going to use this constantly. You can also extend this task if you want, although I wouldn't recommend it personally, as it's already a pretty dang long task as it is. There's also the Double Trouble unlock, which makes it so when you smash Dawn, that also counts as a KC for your Slayer task. This literally just makes the task end faster for 500 points, so don't unlock this. For gear, this is what I bring. Max melee Scythe with Torva. You would think the Gargoyles boss would be weak to crush, but they aren't. I highly recommend waiting to do these until you have Torva, if you seriously want the pet. Torva gives Scythe a max hit, and pushes that strength bonus so high that you no longer lose a max hit if wearing a Blood Fury instead of a Torture. And Blood Fury is incredibly important here. The defense from Torva will also help you protect from the boss until you get some food drops going. I also wear Dragon Javelins. These are optional if you don't want to sweat. However, these do help you get heal skip more consistently. Bring Erratas instead if you're not bringing that. Here's my inventory. Max range switch. Don't sweat the Vambraces if you don't have them. They are a very small upgrade for pipe over Bear's Gloves. Those are perfectly acceptable instead. That pipe needs to be filled with Dragon Darts, here especially. Any less and you will not get heal skip often. A Torture switch, both for your Chally spec, which does lose a max hit when wearing Fury, or when you have a ton of food drops going to save money and boost DPS slightly. And SGS instead of Chally makes sense to me for a longer trip and saving money, but slower kills. If you're using that instead, try to spec at similar times to what I mentioned later for the Chally specs. Yes, that is a heavy Ballista, and this is the one PVM encounter where that thing has any use. Except maybe shooting Vespula down in Cox if you are Asukian. It is not cheap to use at 1k per shot, since you always use up the ammo, so it's definitely optional. Although nothing is cheap at this boss anyway, so you might as well go all out, right? The stack of Crystal Dust I am really torn on whether is worth bringing with my setup. It's very rare that the boss drops enough prayer potions for the trip to last long enough that you can make more divines, so it might be better to just bring another prayer potion instead. I'm kind of torn. Finally, 7 or so prayer potions and a restore, so you can drink brew drops if you are forced to. All restore if prices come back down from next. Emergency Anglerfish, Rock Hammer to kill them, Slayer Ring to get there, Max Cape for its various benefits, it's not necessary, and Rune Pouch with Nature and Fire Runes for Alks. They drop too many alkables to use Thralls with Explorer's Ring realistically. I would just shove either Death or Chaos Rune drops in the third slot of your Rune Pouch. To get here, you're just going to teleport to the Slayer Tower with your ring, climb up the chain, go up the stairs, and then go to the fence stairs where you're going to climb up. To begin the fight, you're going to ring the bell across the room. The first 5 kills you do have a short cutscene before you can fight them, which is really annoying. After you've beaten them 5 times, you'll have a quick start option on the bell, so you can skip that. Make sure you start the fight in ranged equipment. In general, this fight involves swapping back and forth between the 2 gargoyles in various phases, ending with you killing Dawn and fighting Dusk, who has absorbed Dawn's essence, to finish the kill. Before I even explain anything, and this becomes confusing, Dawn is the female, purple, flying ranged gargoyle, and Dusk is the big orange melee gargoyle. Dusk has a trample when you are fighting him by himself, so at no point should you stand under him for those phases. When you're fighting Dawn, you can go under Dusk just fine. Dawn and Dusk will descend from the roof. First, you're going to attack Dawn, moving in between pipe shots to this tile while praying ranged and rigor. This handily 2-tick off-ticks both the bosses, as Dusk uses melee and Dawn uses ranged. When Dusk is approaching, pray melee to catch his hit, then you're going to alternate back and forth between ranged and melee while killing Dawn. Dawn usually only fires 2 ranged orbs at you, but occasionally she can throw a freezing orb like the superior Gargoyle. If you see a shadow appear next to you, move away quickly to avoid it. Now, if you want to get fancy with my Ballista tech, when you see an XP drop that will put Dawn's HP below 250, very quickly switch to Ballista and fire one final time. This not only boosts DPS as you have downtime anyway, this will also make heal skip even more consistent later in the fight since that HP carries over. I have tried a dark bow here, and it actually loses so many ticks, you lose a tick scything on the next phase. So don't use that. When Dawn flies up into the sky, switch to protect from melee and quickly switch into melee. As soon as you see Dawn's hull on her indicator disappear, you are able to attack Dusk. If you swap quickly enough, you can get 3 scythe swings off before Dusk hunkers down and begins glowing orange, dropping rocks from the sky while he does this. You need to step at least 1 tile back when he does this to avoid being thrown back for 30 to 50 damage, and also avoid a 3x3 area around every shadow of falling rocks to avoid taking 20 damage and being stunned in place for about 5 seconds. After swinging for the 3rd time, back off from Dusk and look for an opening in the shadows where you can continue attacking him. When you see Dusk is below 300 HP according to Runelight, swap into Chally Torture and send him a spec. There is forced downtime after 250 HP remaining on Dusk, and any extra damage you deal carries over to the final phase. This is why I prefer to bring Chally over Claws. If your scythe is flopping, more rocks can fall from the sky. Be extremely careful not to get hit by a rock after Dusk transitions to the next phase, as the next portal spawn special attack is nearly guaranteed to kill you if you cannot move. This is really the only way I've ever died here. After hitting Dusk below 250, he will dash to the center of the room along with Dawn. Both will glow orange and purple, and portals will appear on the ground that deal 5 to 10 damage a tick if you are standing in a 3x3 area near any one of them. Again, like with Dusk earlier, look for a hole on the outer square of Dawn that you can safely stand by. If there isn't one, just wait for the portals to dissipate, then move next to Dawn. After Dawn and Dusk stop glowing, they will both begin attacking you again, and Dawn will throw out 3 healing orbs onto the ground that will slowly start to grow. If these are allowed to fully grow, which is roughly 20 seconds, they will all flow towards Dawn and heal her 90 HP each. These orbs can be absorbed by you to prevent Dawn from grabbing them. For this phase, we're going to stay next to Dawn, praying melee and rigor. Instead of running all around the room grabbing these, we're instead going to DPS Dawn like no tomorrow with pipe. I would say roughly 95% of the time, Dawn dies before the orbs are even remotely a problem. If an orb happens to fall next to Dawn, you can optionally work your way up to it in between pipe shots and absorb it for some insurance. The orbs have travel time, and the closer they are to Dawn, the faster she will absorb them when they are grown. Another helpful tip to help this get even more consistent is not wait for that auto smasher to hit Dawn, but instead clicking use on the rock hammer and using it on Dawn after you send a pipe shot that will bring her to 0 HP. This saves a tick or two, and can be the difference between getting or not getting the heal skip. Finally, if you're pretty certain you're not going to get that heal skip, and Dawn is hovering around 50 HP, you can send a Desperation Ballista shot and ready your rock hammer hoping it hit high enough. Ballista can hit over a 60. This has saved me once, but I really wouldn't count on it. Dawn can still throw out her freezing orb, and if it happens to be next to you, there is 0 time to react. You almost always fail heal skip if this hits you, although it is pretty rare for that to happen. I have still gotten the heal skip twice after being frozen, so don't stop attacking. Once Dawn has been smashed, don't worry about these portals in the cutscene, they don't hurt you. Dusk will absorb her remains and fling you into a prison of purple fire with 1 tile opening. After a few seconds, fires will appear under you and heavily damage you, so you simply need to run outside of the prison to avoid it. You can typically just spam click out. If the prison spawns next to a wall, you can put the gap next to a wall. In this case, just click in that little gap to avoid the attack. I've actually never been hit by this attack, but I believe it hits over a 60. Use the downtime from the prison to eat food if you are under 30 HP, as this is Dusk's max hit. Finally, Dusk is going to become vulnerable to your melee attacks, alternating between ranged and melee. This is actually really similar to Ulm, where Dusk is most likely to use the same attack again in a row. So swap to whatever style he just used last. Make sure you start the phase praying ranged, as this has a higher max hit and hits you harder on average. If Dusk is below 80 HP, you can go for a Chally spec and a rock hammer if you have a lot of spec remaining in hopes of finishing Dusk. Try to prioritize Challys on phase 2, as those are far more effective, but this is still a decent way to use that spec if you have too much of it. After you hammer Dusk, the fight is over, and you're going to get your loot. Because this is an instance, the loot from Guardians will stay on the ground practically forever, so just pick up the main parts you can carry as you kill Guardians, and loot everything you can once out of supplies. They drop 2 rolls per kill with tons of ores, bars, algables, coins, and combat pots or prayer potions or mushroom potatoes. Until you have a steady stack of those potatoes on the ground, my figure is around 8. Camp the Blood Fairy while scything at all times, as you steadily lose roughly 10 HP per kill here, even camping Blood Fairy, due to divine damage and their auto attacks. If you received a lot of potato and prayer potion drops, you can turn combat potion drops into divines with crystal dust if you brought it, to continue the trip even longer. When you are done with the trip, teleport to your house and resupply for another kill. A standard trip is around 30 minutes, somewhere in that. Grotesques have many drops, most of which are not exceptional. There's a granite maul, ring, gloves, and hammer. These are all under 150k and are unexceptional rare drops. The only decent drop is the black tourmaline core, which creates guardian boots, which are 1 out of 500. The only other drop of value is the jar of stone at 1.2 mil with a whopping drop rate of 1 out of 5,000. 50 to 100 granite dust is dropped each kill, coating cannonballs and boosting their max hit to 35 from 30. These are really useful for Giant Mole, Venenatus, and minorly at Corp. Extremely good if you do not have 99 Slayer yet for general Slayer tasks. Use these up whenever you have the opportunity, as they don't have a ton of uses in late game. Don't be afraid to use for tutorial skipping. You might as well use them up. Finally, pet is 1 out of 3,000 here, and is one of the coolest pets in the game. Either flying and purple in noon form, or huge and grounded glowing orange in midnight form. At max efficiency, you can get 36 kills per hour here, which is an 83-hour grind on average. Definitely not the worst pet grind. And that's it for the guide. This is not a pet I want to go try on, and hopefully none of you do either. Leave a like if you like it, and or subscribe. Thanks, guys.